Hey, I'm Baz, filmmaker, dad, and the guy behind 20 Minute Gamer. Today I'm playing Lost Planet Extreme Condition on Steam, which was originally released on the Xbox 360 as a launch title. In fact, it was one of the very first games I bought when I originally got the system back in the day, right alongside Dead Rising. My memory of it is fuzzy, but I recall the snowy landscapes, the giant bugs, and the heavy Starship Troopers vibes, which is perfect, as that's one of my all-time favourite films.
They're crawling all over the place, Wayne. You need to cut the anchor off at the source.
The game's nearly 20 years old now, so I figured it was time to revisit it and see if it still holds up.
Wayne, you should be able to use that VS. At least it beats walking.
So Lost Planet was developed by Capcom and released in 2006 for the Xbox 360, later arriving on PC and PS3. It was designed to show off the next generation hardware at the time, with huge environments, weather effects, and mechs called VS suits, so that's vital suits. It mixes third-person shooter mechanics with a survival twist via a constantly depleting thermal energy system. Story. As usual, I skip the cutscenes to maximise the gameplay, but if you do that here, it leaves you with very little narrative actually. Most of the story is hidden within those cinematics. What I could piece together is that you're a human marine type figure fighting to survive on a frozen alien planet. They are insectoid creatures which are called acrid, and they live beneath the snow. And your character is harvesting thermal energy from them. It's basically kind of orange goo that leaks out when they explode. It's basically glowing orange-green goo that leaks out when they explode. Classic Capcom. The game starts with this huge set piece. Your squad is completely wiped out by a giant acrid, and you seem to be the only survivor. From there, you've teamed up with a small resistance group who guide you through further missions. There's mention of rival snow pirates or other human factions, but I didn't encounter any of them in my 20 minutes. The story, at least without the cutscenes, is fairly light, but the setting is interesting enough that you'll want to keep going, even if it could do with some more in-game world building. Score 5 out of 10. Controls. The controls are very solid. You've got your usual third-person shooter tools, a variety of weapons, grenades, there's a kind of an aim and zoom function, a flashlight, and the highlight was a grappling hook. I'd actually forgotten about that at first and thought I was stuck at one point, only to remember it and grapple my way out of a pit. It was fairly satisfying actually.
The boulders in your area could fall at any moment.
The game doesn't handhold, there's no blinking arrows or endless pop-ups telling you what to do, which I totally appreciate. You're expected to figure things out and do a little bit of exploring, and that gave me a small nostalgic thrill actually. I used a controller on Steam and everything felt really responsive and smooth. My only gripe was getting blocked by invisible walls while piloting a mech at one point, which felt a little bit jarring. There was a door and the mech would clearly fit through, but I had to dismount and just walk, which was a bit annoying. Score 7 out of 10. Atmosphere. This is one aspect where Lost Planet really does shine. Once the first mission is over, you're dropped into vast, frozen environments where you genuinely feel isolated. The use of a cold colour palette combined with sparse audio and huge empty spaces builds a solid feeling of desolation. It's not quite as tongue-in-cheek or over-the-top as Starship Troopers, for example, but it does sell the you versus the elements vibe really well. It doesn't quite deliver on tension or horror. It's maybe due to the low difficulty early on. When you mow down wave after wave of alien bugs without breaking a sweat, it becomes more of a power fantasy than a survival one. That's not necessarily bad, it's just less horror and more heroic snow stomping. Score 7 out of 10. Music and sound. The audio design is one of the stronger elements, so let's break it down a bit. For sound effects, they were fantastic. From the bugs skittering around you to bullets tearing at the frozen nests, the directional audio is great, especially in the cave section later on when I was being swamped from every angle by loads and loads of insects. The surround sound was absolutely incredible. The music is well implemented, it's mostly orchestral and it's used fairly sparingly. It ramps up nicely during the action but disappears when exploring, and it gives you a little bit of space to soak in the environment. It's definitely not Starship Troopers fanfare, but it totally fits. Voice acting is cheesy in a good way. It feels kind of like a dubbed Japanese anime. It's slightly off, but it has a charm. Some of the dialogue is a little bit so-so, but it all adds to the B-movie feel. Could it be better? Sure, but I'm not sure I would want it to be, actually.
You're full of surprises.
Score 7 out of 10. Graphics and style. Even now, almost 20 years later, Lost Planet does look pretty impressive. The snowy terrain has a distinct look, and the screen often becomes full-on whiteout, which not only looks great, but it does affect the gameplay too. You feel disorientated and cold, and that's a rare thing for a game to pull off. The monster design is absolutely standout. Everything from flying acrid to massive beasts bursting from the snow feels cohesive and very well thought out. They've all got these really obvious weak spots. They're bright orange thermal goose eggs, which does feel a little bit of a gamey cheat, but it does work visually and mechanically. The only thing is the humans are a little bit bland, but the weapons are chunky and satisfying. One downside that I will say is that the HUD is a little bit intrusive sometimes. The target and reticle, for example, can obscure what you're actually aiming at, but aside from that, it's a very strong visual package. Score, 8 out of 10. Gameplay. If you've only got 20 minutes to play a game, then you are in luck. After a really quick cutscene, you're straight into the action. You're mowing down bugs, dodging a huge boss, watching a building explode, and lobbing grenades at alien nests. It feels like the Aliens game you always wanted. It also throws all its toys at you fairly early on. You've got a chain gun, a pulse rifle, grenades, grappling hook, these mechs. There's no slow unlock system here. You're basically a snowbound doomslayer right away. Boss fights pop up pretty quickly, and it does keep things varied. And the basic platforming using the grappling hook is quite a fun way to navigate around the map. There's nothing really deep going on mechanically. It's not trying to be Dark Souls in the snow, but it's fast, satisfying, and kinetic. Score, 8 out of 10. The standout moment for me was definitely that opening boss fight. You're facing this huge bug, you fire off a few rounds, and I spinned the camera around to see if it was following me, and then boom, the building behind me exploded and the monster burst straight through like it's paper.
Wait, over here!
Your team was screaming, I was screaming. It's 10 out of 10 chaos. It's a perfect setup for the game, and it gives you everything you need to know right off the bat. It delivers one of those adrenaline pumping feelings that you can only really get from a good video game. Final verdict, is it worth the 20 minutes? Honestly, it's absolutely worth it. It's loud, it's fun, and it's snow-covered carnage. Lost Planet has always felt like a bit of a forgotten gem, and revisiting it today reminded me why I liked it so much. It doesn't waste your time, it throws you into combat, it gives you loads of cool weapons, and it lets you blast giant bugs in a frozen wasteland. So what's not to love? I think the thing is the story's quite light, it's not really going to hook you in from that, and the voice acting is pure anime cheese, but the game does deliver exactly what it promises. Alien blasting on an epic scale. If you've only got 20 minutes, you'll have a blast, and if you're a fan of Starship Troopers, Gears of War and things like that, or you just want to stomp around in a mech, then this is 100% worth your time. Final score, 7 out of 10. Did you ever play Lost Planet? Should I check out the sequels? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this review, give it a like and drop a sub. I'm always up for chatting retro shooters and underrated gems. If you're anything like me, you don't have hours and hours to sink into every game, and that's why I test whether a game can hook you in just those first 20 minutes. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.